If you're making a bucket head, it's really helpful to have a mannequin. As you can see, this one is pretty small, so it's going to be kind of difficult to use. So it is best to have a life-size mannequin, but if this is all you have, like me, then we can still make it work. So I'm just going to add some foam around it, and hopefully we can make it 24 inches like I need it to be. Right now it's only about 20.5. Just put some foam around this thing, and now it is about 24 inches like I need it to be. I'm literally making a bucket head for this silly mannequin. So let's put our balaclava back on. So now we're ready to make the bucket head base. I already made the balaclava in the previous video, so if you want to know how to make your own balaclava, make sure to watch the previous video where I did that. This is 1/2 inch foam, which is what we're going to use for the bucket head, or what I use for the bucket head. And this right here is a remnant from previous fursuit heads that I've made, and luckily this piece right here is exactly 24 inches, which is the circumference that I want for this hyena pre-made that I'm making. You still need to add about 2 inches to that, which is what this brighter green is right here, to make up for the thickness of the foam. And the height of this piece should be the measurement from the bottom of your chin to the top of your head. And now we're going to wrap this piece around our mannequin head like that with a bit of hot glue. And as you can see, this piece is slightly uneven, but we can even it out once we have it glued on, so I'm not worried about that. So just put a little bit of hot glue around here on the foam. You don't need a lot. And then you just wrap it around the head like this. And then of course, the back of the head right here. And now we're just going to add a few strips on top. Alright, and that gives us a nice round shape on top, which is pretty easy to work with. Some people will just literally put a lid on it so that it's just really flat at the top, and that makes it really hard to make a natural shape for the fursuit head. So really try to make it a dome on top. That's going to make it a lot easier. So now we have this diagonal cut right here to make it easier to take off and to put back on. And then you're going to mark about where the eyes and the nose need to be, either by putting it on or taking measurements, and then you cut those out. And sometimes I like to use my fingers initially to rip out the foam so I don't cut the balaclava underneath quite yet. And the area for the nose is going to be a shape that's kind of about like that. It's going to be for the nose and mouth, so you can breathe out of there. And you want to make sure that you leave foam under here, which is where your bottom jaw is going to be attached. So I've made quite a mess here. I've just cleaned up some of the edge here. You want to make sure that when you're wearing it, that you can turn to both sides without this catching on your shoulders. And I also had to make a slight adjustment to the length of the face here, because it was just a little bit too long, so I had to cut it down a little bit. So you will have to make adjustments sometimes, and that's okay. And while I was cutting this out, the balaclava also came loose, so I'll have to re-glue around here and around the eyes. So I'm going to do that real quick. Alright, so this has all been re-glued to the balaclava now. And now we're going to cut out the balaclava, but don't cut it out all the way along the edge. We want to have a little bit of a flap that we can bring out and glue onto the base. So we're gonna pinch this and make a little cut. I don't know why I'm using these scissors. I should be using my fabric scissors. Hold on. Alright, much better. I'll show you in a sec, but we do want to leave a little bit along here. Alright, like this. So you want to leave a little bit of the balaclava along there. And we're going to do the same thing for the mouth and the other eye. Just put a little bit of glue around here on the edge and then bring up the little flap onto it and hold it there until it dries. A little bit more glue, hold the next part of it up until it dries, and just keep doing that all the way around. So there we have it. Here's our bucket head base, the eyes in place for the nose and the mouth, and it's fully lined on the inside. Take a look at that. I don't know how well you can see that. Shoot you. Oh, and I just wanted to add that you don't have to fill in those triangular spaces, but if you do find that your bucket base is flimsy and keeps wanting to warp, then filling in those spaces is going to help it be more sturdy and prevent it from warping so much. Now we're ready to start building on top, and that's going to be for the following tutorials.